Welcome back to episode The Psychology of the Sydney Sweeney Controversy. It's not what you think. Today we're diving into a fascinating and frankly often misunderstood topic, the recent Sydney Sweeney American Eagle controversy. On the surface, it looked like just another celebrity-fueled online firestorm. But what if I told you there's a much deeper, almost primal reason behind all that outrage?
That's right, James. It's easy to dismiss these online debates as simple culture wars or marketing stunts. But our guest today, or rather the perspective we're unpacking from best-selling author and psychologist Rob Henderson, suggests that our reactions, our outrage, often say less about our beliefs and more about the subconscious strategies we use to make ourselves attractive. It's wild, but once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Exactly. We're going to explore how this controversy, and many others, can be viewed not just through the lens of capitalism or politics, but through evolutionary psychology. And this lens reveals some cunning strategies hidden behind the mask of outrage, and an inescapable evolutionary trap that ties them all together. Understanding the controversy. So, for those who might have missed it, let's quickly set the scene. Sydney Sweeney, a popular and undeniably attractive actress, appeared in an American Eagle ad for jeans. Pretty standard stuff, right? But almost immediately, the internet exploded. People were calling the ad racist and eugenics-coded, simply because it featured an attractive blonde woman.
It was a bizarre reaction to a seemingly innocuous ad. Critics argued that featuring a woman who fits a certain traditional beauty ideal was problematic, almost promoting a specific exclusionary standard. It felt for many like a rehash of other woke marketing gone wrong, like the Gillette ad that angered many men by broadly criticizing masculine behavior.
And that's where the conventional wisdom stops. But then a different perspective emerged, notably from Rob Henderson. He proposed that this wasn't just about marketing or surface-level politics. He suggested it was about something far more ancient, human mating strategies and the relentless pursuit of status.
It sounds provocative, I know, but let's unpack it. Henderson argues that some of the reactions, particularly from women, were an attempt to take her down a notch. The idea being, if you can depedestalize a dominant ideal of beauty, the skinny, blonde-haired, blue-eyed young woman, you can, in effect, improve your own relative position in the mating and dating game.
It's a harsh way to look at it, but he points out that this isn't exclusive to women. Men engage in similar tactics. You saw comments calling Sweeney mid or a 6, questioning why anyone cared about her looks. This, Henderson suggests, is an attempt to lower the collective self-esteem of women who look like Sydney Sweeney in order to manipulate them into finding low-value men more attractive.
This isn't about conscious malice, it's often subconscious. Henderson talks about how these competitive strategies pervade our lives in subtle ways. Think about guys puffing out their arms, or women heavily filtering Instagram photos. So much of our unconscious behavior is geared towards getting a leg up and spreading our genes. And yes, we mean genes with a G, not genes with a J.
Right, and it can get pretty cutthroat when it's all flying under the radar. He gives great examples like the rise of the word simp. You almost never hear a woman call a man a simp. It's always men policing other men's behavior, trying to discourage them from giving too much to women without getting something in return.
And on the flip side, women use insults like pickme or slut in a similar way. Again, rarely do men use these terms against women. It's often women calling each other pickmes, essentially saying, "Why are you pandering to the male gaze? Why are you dressing or behaving in a way that men like? You're ruining it for the rest of us," because men might come to expect all women to behave that way.
These strategies are all echoes of a larger insight. People are constantly puffing themselves up or cutting one another down to get ahead in the mating game. Sometimes they do it under the guise of moral grandstanding, and they might even believe it themselves. But underneath, Henderson argues it's a form of genetic warfare.
Now, personally, I think it's important to acknowledge that this isn't the entire picture. There's also the tendency for people to project personal issues onto public figures, and of course, the capitalist incentive for companies to connect with whatever's popular. But when you combine these factors with Henderson's insights, you get a very strong explanation for why something like the Sydney Sweeney ad generates so much attention. Inescapable trap, status.
So you might be thinking, hey, I didn't comment on that ad. I'm in a committed relationship, so none of this underground sexual warfare applies to me. Well, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news, you probably have healthy social media habits. The bad news, you are still part of an inescapable trap that's being played out in this culture war, and so many others. And that trap is deeply woven into our nature. Status.
Status predates modern societies. Anthropological records show that even pre-industrial, small-scale societies were obsessed with status. We all feel what status is. It's that internal compass influencing who we want to align with and who wants to align with us.
Think about it. The effort we put into impressing a boss versus ignoring a server. The feeling of pride after a compliment, or its absence after an insult. Pride, for example, often comes from a moment of extremely high status, winning a gold medal, a #1 box office film. It's that feeling of, people really like me. I'm high status right now.
And as much as we try to pretend it doesn't impact us, this unconscious attention to status is incredibly tough to shake. My friend told me about studying with monks in Tibetan monasteries. Even there's a hierarchy. The more you can relinquish your ego, the higher status you are. It's like a reverse status game. You try to not want status, and you become higher status.
Our status profoundly impacts our day-to-day happiness and, evolutionarily, the proliferation of our genes. High-status individuals, those who contribute to the group or exhibit desirable traits, tend to have more children, and those children are more likely to survive into adulthood because the community invests in them.
Once you start paying attention, you'll see status dynamics everywhere. So, given that we're mostly locked into this status-driven experience of life, what can we do?
Dominance versus prestige, the two paths to status. Rob Henderson identifies two main ways to approach status. Dominance is created through force or the threat of force. What can I inflict on you, and can you stop me? If your survival is in my hands, I get the status. It's a very raw, physical way of gaining influence.
It's important to not neglect the raw, physical nature of life. Developing your body, learning to stand strong in confrontation, these are crucial. But relying solely on dominance for your status is often coercive and ultimately joyless.
That's where prestige comes in. Prestige is voluntary. It's not about bullying someone into respecting you. It's about being an impressive person because of amazing things you do, leading others to freely listen to you and allow you to influence their behavior. Now, for many, the word prestige can feel a bit icky. We think of the things that drive people into careers they don't love, like impressive investment banking jobs or Oscar bait movies, things people do just to impress others. This pursuit of prestige can often kill our drive to do what we truly love.
But in talking to Henderson, I realized that pursuing prestige can be a beautiful thing if approached correctly. The mistake people make, especially on social media, is pursuing prestige as an end in itself. They take the direct route, trashing someone on X, renting a Lambo, posting filtered photos from exotic locations. They lean into whatever version of themselves garners the most immediate positive attention.
And it works. Opportunities and attention flow to these people, but that status tends to be very short-lived and requires constant upkeep or you become irrelevant. Ultimately, it's draining and unfulfilling.
The backdoor path to status is different. It's indirect because it treats status not as the goal, but as the happy accident that comes from pursuing something else. This path requires you to dedicate yourself to something meaningful, usually something you personally love. You live that calling for a long time, often with little encouragement, slowly developing skills and leaning into aspects that serve other people.
And then one day you wake up, and not only are you living your calling, which was payment in itself, but now people are holding you in high regard. You've gotten high status through the back door by letting it be the consequence of your choices, not the driver.
So, to recap, the Sydney Sweeney controversy and many other online debates can be illuminated by understanding our deeply ingrained evolutionary psychology. Our outrage, our criticisms can often be subtle strategies in the mating game, driven by a primal pursuit of status.
And recognizing the two types of status, dominance and prestige, can help us navigate this. While dominance has its place, the more fulfilling path is often the back door to prestige, dedicating yourself to something meaningful and letting status be a natural byproduct.
It's a powerful way to look at the world, and it encourages us to be more aware of our own motivations and the motivations of others. When you see a controversy erupt online, ask yourself, is this truly about genuine outrage, or is there a deeper status play at work?
Absolutely. If you found this discussion thought-provoking, please hit like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend who loves digging into the hidden layers of human behavior. And let us know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this evolutionary perspective? Does it change how you view online controversies? Thanks for listening to episode The Psychology of the Sydney Sweeney Controversy. It's not what you think. We'll see you in the next episode.